Hello guys, how are you doing today? I hope all of you are fine. Guys, if you remember in our previous class, we had discussed about ideology. We had defined ideology and you have learned the importance of ideology. Today we will start ideology of Pakistan. So let's see the definition of ideology of Pakistan first. The ideology of Pakistan can be defined in a number of ways. For example, it is the ideology of making a separate homeland for Muslims of India, or it is the ideology of making a state where Islamic laws shall be implemented, or you can define the ideology of Pakistan in that way as well, that the ideology on the basis of which British India was divided into two independent states, or it can be defined in another way. That's the concept of making an Islamic society is the ideology of Pakistan. So these are the few definitions or the few ways to define ideology of Pakistan. You could define ideology of Pakistan in another way or some other with by using some other words as well. So, in simple words, the ideology of Pakistan is such an ideology which became base for making an Islamic state in India. The entire India was divided into two different states in 1947. You know that India was divided into two states that were India and Pakistan, and the ideology on the basis of which this entire India was, or the United India was divided into two different states, that is called the ideology of Pakistan. You know that we are an ideological nation, or we are our country Pakistan, it's an ideological country because Pakistan came into being on the basis of an ideology. There are only two ideological countries in the world. One is Pakistan and another is Israel. Remaining other countries are not ideological countries. It's because they are not formed, or they were not established on the basis of an ideology. It doesn't mean that they don't have an ideology. They are having ideology, but on the basis of that ideology, they didn't get independence, or that states or their states are not established on the basis of that ideology. For Pakistan, the case is different. This country is made, or the country was established, the state was established purely on the basis of an ideology. Pakistan was not naturally existing. Pakistan is not naturally existing, right? This was the part of entire India. Pakistan, it was basically part of India. This country was made separate from India on the basis of an ideology, right? On the basis of a thought. So that's why we are an ideological country. We are our country. It's an ideological country, right? And the and what was that ideology? It was the ideology of making a separate homeland for Muslims of India, or it was the concept of making an Islamic society, right? With the ideology of Pakistan, we come through a different word as well that's called two nation theory. Guys, two nation theory means there are two different nations in India, I Hindus and Muslims. That's Hindus and Muslims, they are not communities of a single nation. Rather, they are totally different nations. Muslims are different nation and Hindus are a different nation. So this means that there is a two nation theory. The two nation theory simply means in a country there are two different nations, or the theory that says that there are two different nations are living in a single area, right? In the context of India, it means that there are two different nations, Hindus and Muslims. They remain or they lived for centuries, but they could not mingle, right? So they were different nations, Hindus and Muslims. So the theory which explained that there are two different nations, Hindus and Muslims in India, It's called two nation theory, right? So the two nation theory and ideology of Pakistan are contextually same, because two nation theory says that there are two different nations, and the ideology of Pakistan says that for Muslims they should be separate state, or Muslims are a separate nation, right? Two nation theory says that there are two different nations, Hindus and Muslims. Ideology of Pakistan says that Muslims are a separate nation. So contextually, ideology of Pakistan and two nation theory are same, right? Now your home task, that is Pakistani society a real Islamic society? If you remember in the previous slide, we said that ideology of Pakistan is the concept of making an Islamic society. And the purpose of establishing a separate homeland in India for Muslims was to establish a Islamic society. Now, the question is that after getting independence, are we able to make an Islamic society? Right? Or, in other words, is Pakistani society a real Islamic society? If not, why we are unable to make an Islamic society? This is your question, and the last date for the submission of this question is coming Saturday, right? Thank you for joining. Take care. Goodbye.